Okay, so I'm starting a new video series and it's all about unhealthy relationships. And for those of you that don't know, that's why I became a relationship coach, because I used to jump from one unhealthy relationship to another. So I feel it's so important to talk about this because there's so many people out there that are like I used to be, and they jump from one unhealthy relationship to another. And there are people out there that stay in unhealthy relationships. And there are people out there that are the cause of unhealthy relationships. And when I say relationships, I'm not just talking about the relationship with your spouse. I'm talking about friendships, certain relationships with family members, work relationships. Like, we're gonna cover all of it. So I don't know how many videos are gonna be in this series. However, I'm going to go into as much detail as I possibly can with each video. So today is video number uno. So let's talk about that. What's today's topic? Let's see. Okay, so before we begin, like get into the meat and potatoes of unhealthy relationships, we have to be able to identify what an unhealthy relationship is. We have to know, like, what are the characteristics of an unhealthy relationship. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. Well, what is an unhealthy relationship? Basically, I mean, the simple answer to that question is it's one that doesn't make you feel good. You guys, if it doesn't make you feel good and it's causing you to feel bad about yourself, or to just feel angry or unhappy or sad or depressed, any of that, if it causes any of that, that is not a healthy relationship. So think about it. If you're around a particular person, let's say a friend or your husband or a boyfriend, whoever it may be, a coworker, if when you're done talking to that person or when you're around that person and you leave and feel icky after, that's not a healthy relationship. Like, or if the whole time you're sitting there or around that person, you just feel like, ugh, like you're on edge, you're irritable, you're like, in your head, you're thinking, I don't want to be here. That's not a healthy relationship. And then some other characteristics of unhealthy relationships is, this one was huge for me, is, you know, having that high, like you're way up here on cloud nine. This happens in intimate relationships, husbands, wives, etc. So you're way up here on cloud nine. Like, you guys are like all about each other, into each other. The sex is great. Like, everything is great. It's bliss. It's like newness. Or it's all the way down here. Can't stand each other. You're fighting, you're crying, you're arguing. It's just a hot ass mess, right? So it's either up here or it's down here. It's never here, right? It's not even the roller coaster. It's just, because the roller coaster goes up and down, you know, there could be like different size hills. I'm talking, you're like, like that. So that's not healthy. Jealousy. If you're extremely jealous or your spouse is extremely jealous to the point to where it causes fights, it's causing one of you to be controlling, it's causing one of you to like snoop and go through each other's things, spying on one another, not healthy. Another one, keeping you away from friends. That kind of falls under the controlling factor. So if you're keeping your spouse from friends or he's keeping you from friends and you're not allowed to do anything without each other, and if that happens, it causes a huge fight or you threaten to end the relationship, that's not healthy. Manipulation. If you're a manipulator or your spouse is a manipulator, that is not a healthy relationship. And let's talk about that for a minute, because what is manipulation? Like, if somebody treats you bad, right? They make you feel like shit. They're mean. They cheat. They do mean, nasty things to you. And then then they come to you, I'm sorry. And they just know how to reel you back in. Or maybe they give you gifts or take you on an extravagant vacation or something like that. That's manipulative. If they make you feel bad about the kids, like, oh, we can't leave each other because of the kids, things like that. That's manipulative. Makeup breakup. Ugh. Let me just tell ya, I used to be the queen of makeup breakup. Like, I think I own the crown in this, seriously. So, makeup breakup. You're in a relationship, right? This kind of falls under the couple that's up here, down here. You're together, it's great, it's fantastic, and then you realize, oh, I really don't want to be with this person, or he keeps cheating, or she keeps doing this, and you break up, right? Well, and then you're like, oh, no, wait, I'm just kidding, I want to work things out. And what happens with the makeup breakup is it's feeding that drama that you crave. It's feeding something. Like for me, in past relationships, you know, they can get boring, right? I mean, relationships get boring. When you're with somebody for so long, let's be real, it gets a little boring sometimes. So in an unhealthy relationship, you create drama to keep it from being boring, or you stick around for other reasons, and that creates drama. So you end things, separate if you live together, and then it's kind of like you get the newness when you make up, right? Because then you're courting each other again, or he's courting you, and you get back together, and then it's like you have that newness of a new relationship all over again. So that's what a lot of people crave in the makeup breakup thing. They crave that newness, and they like the courting and the making up. And like, if you're like me, I like to see if I can get them back. Like, do they still want me? You know, it was like a game, and it's stupid and it's silly and it's not healthy. So if you're with somebody, now don't get me wrong, there's relationships where you have issues and you break up and then you get back together and it works out, maybe even twice. But if it's happening often, or if you're constantly threatening the relationship, that is not a healthy relationship. If the relationship, every time we get in a fight, oh, we should just break up, we should just get divorced, that's not healthy. Staying with somebody for the wrong reasons, kids, financial reasons, fear, guilt. You guys, that's not a reason to be with somebody. And I know that's a tough one, because if you are married and you have kids and you've been with somebody for so long and maybe you haven't worked, you're like, I have no idea what to do. I've been in that situation a few times where I've stayed in relationships past their expiration date because I'm like, I can't take care of myself. Can I get an apartment? Like, what am I gonna do? But let me tell you, there's nothing more miserable being in a relationship you don't want to be in and feeling stuck. So you have to figure it out. So these are all, I can go down the list and I can make this video like 5 hours long, because there's so many different characteristics of unhealthy relationships, and it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. But while we're at it, let's talk about friendships. What is an unhealthy friendship? Do you have a friend that every time she calls, you're like, oh, I don't want to answer the phone, can't deal with her right now, like, or are you that friend? If you have that within a friendship, chances are that's not a healthy friendship. It's making you feel bad. Like for me, if I'm with somebody and it's really gossipy, that makes me feel icky. It makes me feel gross. I don't want to be around that. Now, back in the day, I used to get off on that. Like, it used to like feed my soul, like gossiping. But now gossiping, you know, it makes me feel icky. And there's a difference between gossiping and being concerned. Like if you have a mutual friend and one friend is having an issue with that mutual friend and they come to you to talk about it, that's a little different. Or if you're catching up with a friend and she's catching you up on what's going on with your friend circle that you haven't seen, that's not gossiping. Gossiping to me is talking badly about somebody when they're not around, they're not allowed to defend themselves, and you're like just sitting there going back and forth on how bad this person is or what they should be doing or what they aren't doing. That's gossiping. And if you're in a friendship where that's all you do, that's not a healthy relationship. It's just not healthy. And maybe you have a friend and all that you do when you're together is party and you get drunk and just do bad things together, you know, that's considered an unhealthy relationship. If it doesn't make you feel good, if you leave that friend and you're feeling bad afterwards, then it's not a healthy relationship. So like I said, this list goes on, but I wanted to give you, you know, a few examples of what an unhealthy relationship is so that as we move along through this video series, you can identify like, okay, am I in an unhealthy relationship? So these are things you can ask yourself. If you're still not sure, a good thing to do is to think about it. Like ask yourself, how does this relationship make me feel? And then you can make a list, write down the bad, and then write down the good. This makes me feel bad because of this. This makes me feel bad because of this. Which list is longer? You know, simple. I'm the queen of writing things down. Like, I'm addicted to journals. I think we all know this. But I just feel like there's power in writing it down, like, rather than typing it out. However, we are not all one size fits all, so whatever works for you. Maybe you're a typer, maybe you're a thinker, but I do honestly feel like when you write it down, no matter who you are, it sticks. And when you can look at it on paper and you can go back to it, then it's extremely helpful. So those are the characteristics of an unhealthy relationship. And let me tell you about one of my unhealthy relationships, just so you can get an idea of what an unhealthy relationship is. And I just have to pick out which one I want to talk about. Let's see. We'll talk about one of my marriages. As we know, there's 3. Well, if you don't know, there's 3. And my marriage now. My third one was charm. But the other 2 weren't. And with my last marriage, it was that up-down thing, right? It was either freaking amazing or it was way down here, right? We were either like that perfect couple or we were like that couple nobody wanted to be. It was unhealthy. And it started off unhealthy because he was married when I met him. He told me that they were, you know, probably going to separate, this and that and the other. And I wasn't in a great mental space with myself. And he was the bad boy, you know, motorcycle guy, super cool. And I thought he was all hot and sexy on his motorcycle. One thing led to another. We started seeing each other. Well, the first problem there is that wasn't healthy right from the get-go because he was married. Whether he was unhappily married or not, it doesn't matter. It wasn't wise on my part to get in a relationship with a married man. It just wasn't. But I wasn't happy with myself, so I made a poor decision. So once we got through, and I went back and forth with this man, you guys, like, he told me he was unhappy, he was miserable, and, you know, he just had to figure some things out with the kids. They all use that excuse, by the way. And I'll never forget it. One night we had plans, one weekend we had plans to go up to the mountains to a hot springs and spend our first weekend together. Like, he could never spend the night with me, obviously, because he had a wife at home. So I guess he conjured up some way or somehow to get out of town for the weekend. So the plan was for us to leave when I got off of work. I was a bartender, so I never got home until like 3 o'clock in the morning. So I was so excited, you guys. That day before work, I went and I bought new lingerie from Victoria's Secret. I bought a new travel bag. I bought new lotions. I bought new hair products. I made sure I had everything to look perfect 24/7 on that trip, right? Like, I was so excited. Like, I was excited about it. And that night, he sent me a text message. He didn't even call. And he's like, not going to be able to make it. That's all it was. Not sorry, not, maybe it said sorry. Sorry, not going to be able to make it. That was it. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, instantly, my heart sank. I felt sick. I called my friend crying and like these tears at like 4 in the morning. And she was a godsend and took me to breakfast. We went to breakfast and then we went home and took naps or whatever, and then her and I decided to go out of town over night, and we had so much fun, but, and then at the end of that night, after drinking, I called him, and he's like, I'm so sorry, like, whatever. So anyway, long story short, that was not a healthy relationship to get in. I had my sign right from the get-go, because he was married, but I craved it anyway. It's almost like I craved I wanted to see if he would leave his wife for me, because if he left his wife, then that meant he really loved me, right? And so anyway, eventually we got married, and you know what happened in our marriage? I didn't trust him. He cheated. He put the biker club first. I will say this, he did love me. I will be honest and say that he did love me in his way, and I loved him in my way. But when you put two unhealthy people together, it doesn't mix. It doesn't work. You know, he had alcohol problems, and I had self-esteem issues. I had all types of issues. So it was just like unhealthy meets unhealthy. It was drama-filled, and it gave me what I needed as like a love addict at the time, because you guys, I didn't like being alone, and I didn't like normal, healthy relationships. Anytime I met anybody normal, or, you know, so-called normal, that was nice to me, that didn't have any drama, that could spend all their free time with me, anything like that, I didn't like them, didn't want anything to do with them. So that's an example of an unhealthy relationship, because that husband and I, we did the makeup breakup thing. Like, I think he moved out like 4 or 5 times and then moved back in. And then, so you guys, we were together for a few years, makeup breakup, makeup breakup, makeup breakup. And then one of the times he moves in, then he asked me to marry him, like within like a month of us being back together. Like, we weren't ready for that. And I said, yes. And the night before our wedding, you guys, we got married in Vegas. We had people fly out. We got in a huge fight the night before our wedding. And it was like a movie scene, because we all met together. Like, I had my bachelorette, he had his bachelor party, and then we all met like at the end. And I think we were at the Hard Rock Cafe Casino. I can't remember what I said to him, but he said something to me and it pissed me off. Told him I'm not effing marrying him. I ran out of the casino. I got my best friend following me, her husband following her, who's his best man, and he's on the phone with my husband-to-be saying if she, because I said I was leaving and getting on a plane. It's like, if she's getting in a cab and getting on a plane, take her ring. Take her ring. I could hear him shouting this through the phone. I'm running down, like going down the boulevard. It was a complete joke. It was a complete joke. And then the next morning, I told him, I'm going to marry you, but the only reason I'm going to marry you is because all my friends and family flew out here for this. And then we ended up making up and like having this really great time, and realized like, oh no, I love you, I love you. Like, it was like way up here, way down here, right? So that's not healthy. So that was a quick little sample of my unhealthy relationship that you will find out more about in my book if I ever get it finished, you guys. Woo! I don't know how these people write books in like 30 days or a couple months. Like, it's hard, and I'm having to go back. Like, this has been very therapeutic for me. Like, this book has been challenging. I actually was in tears the other night as I was writing. It was also a PMDD time, but it brings back, and it brings up a lot of emotion, and you've got to go back and you got to think about things that you dealt with. So it's very therapeutic, but also challenging. So anyway, you're going to hear about all my relationships in that book if I can ever get it finished. So that was video number 1. Video number 2 will be up next week unless I decide to do 2 videos a week. I don't want to commit to something I can't do, so I will guarantee you 1 video a week on this series, but potentially 2, and maybe some weeks 2. I don't know. But we are going to get through this series, and we are going to dive deep into unhealthy relationships, because I don't want you guys to bounce from one unhealthy relationship to another, or to stay in a relationship that is not good for you, or maybe your relationship is unhealthy, but it's unhealthy because of things, excuse me, I have an itch in my throat, because of things that you're doing that can change, things that you're not aware of. So anyway, this is going to be huge. This is like going to be a lot of work. So I advise when you watch these videos, get out a pen, because I'm going to be giving you guys homework. So speaking of homework, it's that list. Like, ask yourself, think about the relationships that don't make you feel good, and maybe it's obvious, maybe it's the one that you're in, or maybe it's a friendship. Maybe it's a job. Maybe your job is making you miserable because you have a horrible relationship with your boss. Whatever that is, whatever relationship is making you not feel good, but you're sticking in it for some reason, then we need to get to work on that. Or maybe you're not in a relationship right now. You don't have any issues with friends or anything right now, but you do find yourself jumping from one unhealthy relationship to another. We want to get down to the why. Why are you doing that? Why? The only way to figure that out is to start doing some work on this and some work on this. And that's what we're going to be doing. So anyway, I'm babbling now. As always, we know I like to babble. So anyway, I'm out. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.